Abbi, Ross, welcome to PerformX. So just to kick things off, for people who don't know you guys, can you introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about what you do?
Yeah, so I run a small group personal training facility in the northeast. It is veered just towards women. It is a premium facility and we've been open 4 years in June, now a team of 6.
Cool, and very much the same. We're a SGPT gym in the northeast also, 7 doors up from that one. And we're a male only facility, which is quite unique. Yeah, we opened 2 months after you, I think, so I think we're 3.5 years deep into the journey now.
Nice, and that niche, yeah, obviously that's quite specific. I was really interested when I first met you guys a few years back, and that's what's the reasoning behind kind of having male or female only, and do you get any kind of backlash from that, or how does it work?
I think it was when we initially opened, people were like, well, people from a business sense were like, you're half in your market. And then, you know, I see it from the other side. You have women football teams, you have you have women's and men's football teams, you have women and men's kind of, again, differentiation in the sport. Why can't you have gender-only gyms? And I couldn't see it working not like that now. It's odd. As I say, we did get a little bit of scepticism around like the business side of, oh no, why don't you do it in, you know, half in your audience? But it's actually worked a lot.
Yeah, I think for us, I think ours was probably for some reason, because I think there was already some female-only gyms in the country, for instance. But genuinely, I think when we opened, we were the first one in the country, which again is quite unique. So it was questioned a few times, but again, like just to voice what Abby's said there, like why not? Like why can't men have their own space to go to and bounce off like-minded people? I come from a professional football background, so like, that changing room type of vibe, I think, brings the best out of you, but then still having that professional environment as well. I think it cultivates like a really nice, positive place for people to go to, especially men. And obviously, we all know now these days, suicide and men's mental health is like a very hot topic and on the rise massively. And I think it becomes ever more apparent that why we do stand for who we are and being a male-only gym. And I think from the business perspective, it makes things actually easier. Right. Because you can just be so to the point. There's no like wishy-washy having to please everyone. It's just, this is what we do. This is who we serve. If you're a man, you want to train, you take your health and fitness serious, you come here. That's it. And I think if we were to put ourselves next door to any gym, and I always say to the lads, the day we stop believing this is the day we're probably done type of thing, but no matter what gym it is, if we beat the drum enough to say that this is where men go, they would eventually come out of that gym and join ours. That's my belief. Which could seem quite ballsy, but that's who you've got to believe, I think.
And what message do you find like resonates most? Because obviously, it like you say, it is a niche, and it's kind of speaking to a specific audience. But do you find that kind of what kind of is hitting home, or what are the reasons people are going, I'd rather choose here than a kind of a competitor, I guess?
Yeah. Again, I think it's a little bit. It wasn't as like we weren't the first female-only training space. I think it's always been a little bit more apparent that women typically were a little less versed in the gym space and needed a little bit more help, guidance. We needed to change the narrative around women's fitness. So I think that was a little bit less ballsy, if you like, than opening a male-only facility. Because it's like, you know, it was seen for a while that the gym was the men's space, so why did they need their own space? Well, I think typically women, our whole mission is to redefine female fitness and be them off the cardio-esque equipment and in classes and kind of low ticket and more into a more premium way of coaching for female coaches as well. It gives a better space and puts them on a better pedestal than our male counterparts.
Nice.
I think for us, what I think is happening is like, it's a little bit of a change in terms of men have replaced training and health and fitness from what the pub would have been. Like they used to meet at the pub, and now it's like this is their new meet, this is their new thing to do together. And I think there has been a massive change. We all know the fitness industry's grown hugely, and I think people are starting to be more health conscious, and instead of shelling £200 out a night on a weekend, they're now investing that in themselves, into fitness and wanting to feel good. and look good. I think social media brings a lot of pressure to look good as well, and men are just as vain as any other as women as well. Do you know what I mean?
I think they hold the same issues, and that hasn't been as apparent, but now it is coming a bit more to light and opening 100%. The space for that conversation.
100%.
Nice. And so going into, I guess, we've highlighted some key areas and with our PerformX schedule, and I think you guys we had a really good feedback session following the last event, which was massively helpful. So we spent the summer kind of putting together what we think is like the blueprint of education with our advisory board, and a big part of that is like, I guess, for your guys, and you guys are playing a part of it this year, speaking. I think a big part of that is how you've been able to grow and scale a business and become an owner, less like in the business, but more work, that style of thing. So digging into some questions on that and how you manage your team and grow your team. A big part of gym owner success, I guess, is having gaining and acquiring talent. What are your strategies behind that? Because I think any of your I've met quite a few of your guys, Ross, and you can tell there's a real passion for what they do. They truly love what they're doing, kind of thing. So I think talk me through your kind of, I guess, talent acquisition process and how you manage to retain those kind of staff.
I think it's a never ever ongoing thing. I think the message we've always been taught, and more so it's become more so apparent of late, is that you should always be hiring technically, not actually physically doing it, but always on the lookout, like the same way you would always be marketing yourself in your gym.
You're as much a recruiter as you are a marketeer, I think, and that's what, you don't just go from PT to gym owner. It's a complete evolution, and you have to wear so many more hats. You can delegate them hats, but only when you've kind of mastered it and you can teach someone else it. Teach being the key word there. So
I think the biggest thing for me when it comes to acquiring is always be on the lookout. I'm looking for people who maybe have similar values, and you've kind of got to, I'm not going to lie, I'm looking on Instagram, to be honest, because that's where our industry is promoting themselves. You're trying to get a good feeling and vibe through Instagram, so to speak, and then you maybe do a little bit of digging. Marcus is probably our most recent hire. I think it was October time or something, but it took and it's quite a refined process for me. I'll always sniff them out, message them, see what the vibe is, come and train with us for a little bit. Again, just sort of bounce off each other. Do I want to spend time with this person? Because we're going to spend a lot. It's quite an ancestral business model. Do you know what I mean? It's all tight knit under one roof. That's a massive thing for me. Then obviously, do they have the skill is important. But we always, you say this to me. Abbi keeps me in check with this one. You can teach the skill element. It's whether they're a good person first and foremost. Which is absolutely the truth. Again, values aligned. Are they hard work, and are they willing to do what's required, if not more? And have they got my back? Trust is really important. And did they get on with the members?
Because being such a people-focused.
Of course. But when it comes to acquiring, I think it's just keeping your nose to the ground and always on the lookout, I think. But I must admit, it is hard to find good coaches. I don't know if it's a Northeast thing, but I do think we're putting a big focus this year on our personal brands to try and elevate a little bit so that we become a place that's known for where someone would want to work. I want to go and work at the training club, or I want to work for him or her. You know what I mean? Which makes the hiring process a lot easier. But I guess it's been just as aspirational for a member coming into the fold, but also for coaches now as well. It's another hat that we have to wear, I guess, and do you know what I mean?
It's a different way for a coach to operate. In PT, typical PT, you pay your rent, you require your clients, you're a one-man band, you don't get sick pay, you don't get holiday pay. How long does that go for? So how we operate, everyone's employed, everyone's pulling in the same direction, everyone's clear on the mission, everyone can collaborate on ideas, and we are so much stronger as a team and as a group. And as I say, it gives you a luxury of being able to go on holiday and do all these things that you would never get to do as a solo PT, and no one would care if you did either. And I think that a lot of my girls are still new to the industry, but their rate of learning accelerated tenfold just because of the environment that we're in, and that's something that we've heavily fostered. And there's no secret sauce, there's no kind of quick hack, but it doesn't happen in the first year, maybe in the first 6 months, but now we're getting people asked to work with us. We're not even hiring. because they see what we've built and think, I want to be part of that, and I can see how you can go further as a coach in a job rather than flying my own flag or being a small cog in this big machine. You can do it better.
That's a really interesting point. We've got a debate live on stage at PerformX on the kind of different career pathways, which would be really interesting, from commercial to hybrid, like online to you know, that sort of thing. So it's going to be really interesting, kind of self-employed, like which route is best. I think that's an interesting point of employing them all, making sure you're employing them all, because it can be a case of that is ridiculous churn still for PTs, and like those like crazy hours, everyone having to do silly hours, and only getting paid when you're working, and that sort of thing.
And again, that tit for tat, that clock in, clock out, that doesn't build a business or a culture or any longevity, I don't think, anyway. And it was one of the things that come up a lot in the network. How do you build a culture, and how do you get the right staff? And we're making them part of something for sure. We're definitely not committing them to 15 hours and, you know. Yeah,
and the other thing is the kind of Gen Z demographic, and the kind of desire to be an entrepreneur or like self-employed, run their own thing. That obviously doesn't help for the churn as well, because they're constantly thinking.
Yeah, I asked my lads if they would open a gym, and they said absolutely fucking not.
Really?
Yeah, honestly. Am I allowed to swear or not? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said, have you ever opened a gym now? You've been part of this? And absolutely not.
Really?
Not a chance. Yeah, it's interesting. But I actually had that come up in an interview recently, that their goal was to open a gym one day, and I was like, all right, cool. Like, you definitely don't know yet.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you only know from doing it, don't you? But we'll have been there at one point.
It happens with time. You don't see people settle until you've had them about 6 months, and then they think, and I used to say to one of my girls, who's just my right hand now, she'd been here like 2 months, and she was like, someone's at your gym, or what are you doing at your gym or something? And I was like, when's it going to be ours? And she was like, I don't know. And now she would run through fire for it, but it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight, and you've got to make them feel part of something before they treat it as something. You know, and I think it's hard to look past that lens of when it's your baby and you'll do all the hours, all the work, you'll feel everything so deeply. It doesn't happen with staff until they've been here long enough, and again, they can see themselves being part of it and having an influence and being part of the mission, if it's clear. So
would you go back and do it again if you would? 100%. Yeah. Nice. And I think something you touched on, I listened to a previous interview you did on like culture, the importance of culture. What does culture look like for you both in your businesses? Because it's quite clear there is a member culture and a staff culture, and like a real.
I think it's what exists when you're not there. You know, it's when someone new comes into a 5-person team and they do something, and then someone else goes, oh, we don't do it like that here. And it doesn't even have to be communicated, it's modelled in every sense. And it means that if the wrong person comes in, they're not there for long, because the people around it won't stand for it. And that sounds like a bit cutthroat, but it's so true. People will weed out if they're not part of it, but it has to be modelled top down. Like, whether there's 1 of you, 2 of you, 3, and as it gets larger, it is harder, but you just have to have really open, honest conversations around what you expect and why that's important. You know, not just saying do this because, you know, I've been there, I've made these mistakes, and this is how we do it now. And you don't want a team of yes men, they can give their own opinion, but definitely culture, it doesn't happen overnight, but it's modelled, and it's
and like you say, selection as well. It's on the selection you've chosen someone that you feel fits the culture first. You
can teach them skills, but you can't teach anyone to be trustworthy and loyal and open and honest, and that's how they'll be when you're not there. And if someone just wants to come in for a paycheck, they don't care about culture. But you build something special, and again, if they've been part of it, someone else comes in and doesn't fit that, they ain't letting it fly, whether you're there or not. So
yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is high standards. Like, if you're doing the saying that gets chucked around, how you do one thing, how you do everything. If you say the high standards or demand high standards in everything that you do, I think that just becomes like the new norm. So if your mate you're right isn't doing the thing that they know is the TC standard, like, we've created a culture where he will say that, and over time we've learned that it's never an attack, it's just you being pulled on the name above the door standard. That took time, because it used to be a case of giving it a little bit back, because lads being lads, they've got an ego and stuff, and they don't like to be challenged. But we've definitely refined that, and it's a really cool culture now amongst the team that we've got.
I think it's just complete clarity on what you're doing and why you're doing it. You know, and everyone being on the same team and
on the bus.
Yeah, nice, absolutely.
So you touched on it before, but gym ownership is plate spinning ultimately, and like a lot of different skill sets. And a key part of that growth is being able to move away from the day to day. How have you both effectively implemented the kind of delegation and built out systems that work so you're not doing everything?
I think it starts with, like what Abbi said earlier on in the interview, like it starts by you doing the thing first and going through that process of spinning all the plates and becoming like very good. Or I always say, like, I'd like to think I was an 8 out of 10 at most elements of our business, and that then enables me to maybe blueprint it in an SOP, or like just have, it allows me to spend time to then teach and show and then hold accountability towards it, and just not be afraid to let people fail. Again, another one of our values is fail fast type of thing. Like, don't be afraid to fail. If you've got a question, ask, and that's how you grow fast. You know what I mean? And you have to, as a business owner, never mind a gym owner, I think for your business to grow, you have to get out of the weeds. Otherwise, you can't think at all, and it's so important.
Getting the breathing space.
I think most business owners are control freaks of their own baby. And there's such a high level of care there, but I think it's one of the things that you need to learn and grasp and become comfortable with as fast as you can. Otherwise, you're just going to stunt your own growth. You're going to hit your own ceiling too early. And there's lots of moving parts to that, but I think as long as there's like a clear process to check in with said person that you've delegated said task to, and it should never really fall apart. You know what I mean?
There's a really good book on that called Clockwork, and it says you'll go from the doing to the delegating to the designing, and you almost need to earn your stripes to go through it. Make a lot of mistakes as well, and I think ego holds you back from, no, don't do that, because and you just think, I can do it better, but you only learn one way anyway, so you can't sit up here with 5 years experience, watch someone doing it for 6 months and judge which you do at the start. And again, I've seen it was me at one point, and then it's my head coach with new people, and I say to her, you'll feel like this, but they've got to learn, and then if you don't let them learn, they'll just feel completely overwhelmed anyway, and if you don't foster a culture, like you said, like
no trust, kind
feel hard, learn fast, because you were there at one point, and like that ego will just blur you, thinking, take me, no, like let me take over and take the reins. Your business will never grow. So I think you've got to delegate, but mentor your staff, which is you're more inclined to, again, if they are your employees, rather than just pay your wage, you come in, you come out. Like what regard have you got for them anyway? Like, you invest in them, just invest time, money, people who can do things a lot better than you, to teach them and upskill them, and they'll value that and see that. But again, it doesn't just happen where people are great overnight. You see them, you champion them, you reflect, you hold them accountable, but from a softer place, and in terms of that.
I like that. And you said earlier about how you, off camera, you said about how you get a lot of people in to coach, like to teach. Can you dig into that a little bit?
So just ever since we started, it was just a imperative that we got people who were further in there, longer in the tooth in the industry, in the business, and then teach you. It accelerates you tenfold. If you've got people who've been there, done it, they can just cut loads. I know we're saying we need to fill, but if you can remove half of it, it's still beneficial. So people who've been there, done it, and then go, oh, this, and this, and you're like, all right, okay, and then boom, you're tenfold faster. I think people get a little bit, like, they want to open their own business, but if it's from a profitability standpoint, it's important, but initially you need to invest so much into it. I just think it's a non-negotiable. Literally there's not been a month since we've opened where we haven't had a form of mentorship, and I don't think there's been a quarter where we haven't even sent them afar afield to some sort of seminar. And then it constantly puts this melting pot of ideas and techniques, and then you formate your own road, don't you? Constantly taking other people's ideas, put you ahead of the curve.
I mean, even since day one, when we probably had no right to, I always made sure there was a CBD budget there.
Yeah.
If it meant I was taking a less salary, that was
very
the case.
Nice.
There is this year. It's February and we've already spent $3,000, which is nothing to some people, but do you know what I mean? We've got a big team, so $3,000 for us is
and
like,
they know the value of it as well. Yeah, they know that, and they appreciate that again more. Like, again, if you're a self-employed PT, money is, you get a little bit tight with money and how far does it stretch, whereas a business you're like, let's pull hard, let's create better profit margins, and then we've got money for all this fun stuff that you might not get anywhere else. And that's it's literally, if you want to go far, you can't not reinvest in people ahead of you. You can't not invest in places and people
like that. And on that subject of mentorships, you both obviously worked with Ollie and Jens, who are on our 2024 speaker schedule. How critical has been working with those guys to your success?
I think for me, I worked with Ollie before the month prior to actually open TC. Again, like it's extremely valuable because you save, the speed kills, you save time, you save money, you learn from other people's mistakes. You don't have to go through that. It's all the typical stuff you hear from mentorship, but it genuinely is the case. Even to this day, I've gone through different facets of mentorship with Ollie and Jens as their business has grown, and as they've developed as mentors, and as their businesses have grown, they've got new experiences. He's gone on to open a second gym, third gym. He used to say we might not open a second gym one day. So like, you're paying for other people's experiences, basically, to filter that down and just so you can move faster and more efficient. And it's just so handy having them there to just pick their brains. Do you know what I mean?
And the amount they invest in themselves, the people around them as well, you're kind of benefiting from all that. Yeah.
Why not collaborate with the best and get like a peek behind the curtains at what they're doing, because that's huge, absolutely huge. If you're aiming for their level and modelling what they do, then you're going to be massively benefited by that. And
I think you've always got to be grateful when there's people in your industry or in your field that are doing so well, because it just allows you to understand the opportunities that are out there.
I think that's a big part of PerformX is like, yes, the industry can be challenging, and like, yes, there's a lot of churn for like gym owners starting out and failing, or PTs quitting after 6 months. But actually, if we can highlight people like yourselves that have been in the game for a long time and still making, and growing each year, it's like, it can be done, and here's how it is done.
It's not a cost. It's an investment, and the return on that investment is so much more time spent doing things that aren't a waste of time and things that are going to have a bigger return. And huge, it's a huge piggyback up in the industry. It is not a cost. It's absolutely an investment, and one that I've never regretted.
And what, going back in time, like what drove you to take the leap to start your own business? And I heard that you kind of took a massive risk with yours and didn't have any clients to start with, sort of thing. So what take me back to that?
So I'd just built an awareness teaching group fitness classes, and I would just put myself anywhere and everywhere. I did their social media. I was just keen. I was just so keen to get out and work with anyone and everyone. And through that, I met so many people, seeing, so many things. And then I'd seen the typical PT model. You go in, you pay your rent, you turn up, and I just didn't fancy it. And luckily, young enough to be at home, just had me savings there, and I thought, I'll go for it. And you'd already started doing the small group PT model where you were, and I was like, I can do that. I'll just do that. And I didn't have a massive economical advantage. I literally had a few grand saved up. Luckily, the space I moved into was a gym. I inherited all his equipment, and I was like, again, just young and hungry. I was like, I'll do first session free for so many people, and then I just rammed my books full and just took advantage of that profile I had built up through the group fitness classes. Luckily, I got a coach. It was literally one of the biggest at the time. And again, on Facebook, it was more about Facebook than Instagram at that time. Through COVID, just put out loads of content. And then
you did like 2 weeks of 80-hour free sessions.
Yeah.
Which is what it takes.
Just relentless.
And then if you're that good and you get a good experience, they turn into members, and just like that, you've got your first 6 months member.
I wouldn't do it again on my own. And they said that in the mentorship. They were like, if you're going to open up your own space, don't do it alone, because you can't be that one-man band doing everything. But again, I had age on my side. I was still living at home, so I just thought, well, why not? How can you fail? Maybe I went in a little bit overzealous, but it worked out. So I don't know if it was age, a little bit naivety. I just thought, it can't fail. It can't. I'm just like that anyway. I'm just a bit relentless. So
anything else you do differently other than not open on your own? looking back? If you open a new site tomorrow?
No, because I just think every mistake I made then, hindsight's a beautiful thing, but every mistake I even made then has made us how I am now, so yeah.
Nice. And what about you, Ross? You started in JD, putting the...
I actually started on my garage, and then my garage driveway, then DW and biker, because I had an illusion that if I went to Newcastle, it was more closer to the city, and then I would earn more money. But that was missions away. It ended up being like a 40-minute round trip at 5 a.m, so that was no good. But yeah, chucked myself into the deep end there. And then Sunderland JD opened, and there was an opportunity to grow a new business and a new gym. And for me, I was quite confident anyway, so for me that was easy. That was like putty in my hands almost. Did a similar approach to Abbi. The 60+ sessions a week for 2 weeks, and before I knew it, I had a strong client base, and then moved to another gym. I actually invested thousands of pounds in an online coach because I thought that was the way I wanted to go. And that was a waste of money in regards to me going online, but it was a blessing in disguise because it allowed me to understand that I really wanted to do this male group thing, so I got that out of it. So basically it's money well spent.
Yeah.
And then I think COVID hit, and I was told I couldn't go back and do what I was doing there at the time because it was pretty much like overtaking the gym. It was getting like everything was taken by us and my groups type of thing. Abbi had some big balls and opened the gym that she did, and I thought, she's doing that without any clients, and I've got a client base, and I need to do it. And there was a yellow board sticking out the corner, and I looked up, because we went and viewed yours, didn't we? And I looked up and seen the yellow board, and I thought, right, I need that as well. So I actually started my groups again on the grass patch out the front of hers.
Really?
When we were allowed to start
outdoor training.
Playing out again. We play out again. I started my group there. So yeah, that was interesting. And then
you have to be optimistic. Like you think, you've got no client base, but honestly, the rent, I was like, I just need 4 good clients to pay that rent. Don't care about profit, all that. And you just get 4 good clients, and you just get hungry, and you just want to deliver the best. If you get too hung up on money, I think it won't last. You've got to, at the start at least, you've just got to be so eager to learn and put in the time, and through time has got to come better experience and better results for your clients, and then that will build your business.
Nice. I think something you said earlier surprised me, that you've never done paid ads.
No.
So talk me through how it grew from the first 4 to what, you're on 200, did you say?
Yeah, just 200 members, just over.
And what's your price point?
164 to 204 with
Nice.
£20 increments with 3 memberships in between. Yeah, I think it's because we were so clear on what our client wanted, what the opportunity was, and we were our clients,
Right.
we were our demographic, so we knew what they wanted to feel and how they wanted to be served, and then we just spoke to it, and then just constantly looking at the quality of product, learning, evolving. The gym's never looked the same month to month since we opened. Even small things where I was like, can we do this better? Can this look better? Again, constant reinvestment, and I think that just speaks tenfold, because if the people are happy, they'll tell their friends and all that kind of thing. And it's very, 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 very rare that people aren't doing paid ads. And you think, again, I've halved my market by going specific gender, but it's just flowed really nicely. I think last year we got just under 300 leads.
Wow.
And the conversion rate is quite high. And because it's all organic, it saves you time on sales as well, because then people are always half through the door.
Yeah, they're very warm. Yeah.
Paid ads just scares me a little bit, because you can just don't think there's...
I mean, we got up with 200 members organic as well, and then in January we started doing paid, and even still we had like 1 person come through paid and 26 through organic for our own social media storytelling. And that's something that we've always invested in since day one, is having like amazing visuals, having a creative schedule, social media planner. Like, that's been a thing that we've had since literally month 1. I've always been obsessed with it.
We did a brand workshop, and it was just saying what our kind of collective strengths were, who we are, what difference we want to make, and that was with the team again. So the team are on board with our brand values and everything like that. And then if you give people a great product, they are your advertisers. They'll tell everyone about it, they'll post about it, and they'll speak far better than you will. Because if you're selling a product, like, people don't like to be sold to, but they want to be part of something, and that's a big one. And everyone will say community, and they'll go, no one signs up for a community. They won't, but they'll stay for it. Once they've seen how that feels, and they want to be part of how she feels and how she sees herself. Like, I want to be part of that. So I think it was really clear.
And I think another thing you said is the kind of touch points and social media elements that you've built within the club, some by accident, but talk to me about that.
Just one of our brand values again just is being authentic. And I think so many people in the fitness space are trying to curate this image that people want to see, but no one relates to, no one can connect with. So we want it to be something different, something real. And again, that spoke to people. People want to see themselves in certain spaces, and they can, because we've got the mothers and the people who want to dabble in comps, and then we've got the people who are just in the 60s, or people who are, and we've showcased all of this. And even the team as well. I say, you want to be aspirational, you want to model these behaviours. You're not selling a lie, but you also need to be real with these people, that we're all human, and what we're trying to. If our mission is redefine female fitness, we don't want to sit in what we already think it is, which is a little bit toxic or a little bit smoke and mirrors. And I think again, it's just spoke to people. It's not what was already out there, and people were ready for a change, and clearly people liked it if we're doing well. And
Nice. And Ross, I think you've built a really sick brand. I personally, like, as obviously probably target audience, I think it really resonates with me. I've wanted to visit for a while. But how have you say it's kind of something that was right in the beginning plans? So how have you built that brand? I think any gym owner is well worth checking out. Obviously, don't copy the brand, but it's well worth thinking about the ethos behind. What's the strategy behind, and how it's a very specific audience, and you've built a brand that really speaks to that audience. So talk me through that.
I think first and foremost, you need to become aware of who it is that you're serving, and what those people value, and what they need, and what their almost like pain points are in a way, because you have to touch people's pain points for them to actually listen first, and almost check themselves. Fuck, that's me. Do you know what I mean? And we did the same kind of workshop. We worked closely with Kerry Williams for a while. Nice. We were lucky to do, because she's very sought after. And that was an amazing, powerful workshop for us, because we dug out, like, as everything's inside you, like your gym as a gym owner is kind of a physical element of you a little bit inside. And I think we had all the language, the words, the feelings, and she just helped us like pull them out and express them. And then we got that kind of framework, and we review it every 6 months just to make sure our finger's still on the pulse, or has it changed? Because fitness changes. People's wants and needs change. And in terms of like our strategy, it's mainly just to tell stories through visuals. And what's that book, How to Build a Story Brand? Is that it?
Yeah.
I've followed that and studied that quite intensely.
Donald Miller.
I've studied that quite intensely. And I've always had like a creative mind. Like, I love things looking a certain way and feeling a certain way. So trying to, I guess, create mini adverts towards each meal that we serve. The dad, the skinny guy, the Friday, right? The guy, that one. Sam, the actor. Like
I'm going to lose him to Emmerdale one day, aren't we?
It's like the has-been guy, or I could have been that one day, or you think you're down on it.
Into the people.
And all the person who thinks they're washed out and past the time, but they're not. And it's just like choosing visuals and words that like allows people to see themselves in that visual. And that's the thing that I think where people need to go paid, because they fail to understand that bit. But then also having the creativity and understanding, because everyone just thinks it's just training, but I think that's like an element that needs to be really broken down. And
people pick up their advertising just when they want leads, and they forget to create that message year round. It's got to be on at all times. That's something they'll say always in the mentorship. Simon at Strong Media, who's at PerformX, etc.
Yeah.
He's so good at what he puts out, and we've worked with him a little bit as well. And what I will say though, it doesn't come initially. We did that with Kerry because I was facing a little bit of a crisis. Like you said, you know what it is and how it wants to feel, but it's hard to put that through social media and through like a brand identity, because I used to just see other people's and kind of, she would always say, you can't just take their male kind of production and make it shrink and pink. It's got to sit with you and it's got to be true to you, and that was definitely pivotal for us. So you get it wrong for a while, trial error, invest in the right people, and you will curate your right direction for you.
For me as well, on that whole marketing thing as well, if like we've been lucky to have some form of like unicorn esque people in the creative space who will be able to produce what I spit out from my brain. It's like, I need it to look like this, please help. And like, that's been really cool for us. And I don't just want a lifestyle gym, I want it to be a brand. I want it to be something powerful that people want to go and experience. And the fact you said that earlier was really cool. That's made me day. But no, it's creating emotion through, which is what that storytelling brand.
People always say about the gym, if they just come through the doors, if they were just here, they'd love it. And it's no good, because not everyone's going to walk past, knock on the door and just say, can I come in? You have to get good at telling that, like people do with the boards now for us. Or people come in for an onboarding and we're like, I'm Abby, I'm Kate, and they go, I feel like I know you because I see you on stories and social. And that's something we modelled through seeing Marchand did that story day takeover, and we go, well, if they're doing that and they're flying, and I mean, stuff like that isn't heavily copying, it's just like picking up people further afield of you. But if you're if you're not going to invest and look outwards, and you'll never grow.
So digging a bit into gym owner kind of mindset, and so you both built successful businesses that have now run for years, and you're on a strong growth trajectory. What do you put that down to?
Understanding the data behind your decisions, and not just putting your head down, working as hard as you can, and expecting it all to go right. You've got to see where you need to turn each cog in each direction and understand what's actually important. Because again, when you say like gym owner, you think, oh, how exciting, how nice, how fluffy, but you've got to be strategic in what you're doing. You know, even things like your brand and your community, it comes down to product. Marketing, sales and product, you've got to understand, and you've also got to grow with the business. Otherwise, again, you'll get to a certain point, and if you're not growing with the business, it'll all go
I think it's
south.
just a constant iteration on things, and never getting complacent, and always trying to be the best and invest, as that's like the most common thing, investing all the time, seeking challenge, trying things that'll create learning opportunities, and just build on that constantly, and never taking your foot off the pedal.
Definitely data. You've got to be data driven. I think it's a lot of things. A huge take home from the mentorships we have done. Where's the return of investment in your efforts placed? Because if you're not tracking something, but you think you're working really hard at it, like what is that actually speaking to the back end product? And you've got to again make money to be a successful business, no matter how other things you look at. You've got to track that.
And I think you hear a lot like gym ownership can be pretty overwhelming. How do you find like balance within that? What do you guys see as like balance? And I think people talk about balance in different ways, and it can be like a case of I guess you get balance in what you do. It doesn't have to necessarily be like a break, but how do you, I mean, more to the question is more like, how do you avoid burnout? How do you stay at that high performance level consistently? And what does that look like for you both?
Good systems in place.
The hospital. A couple of times.
good systems in place, and working smart, not hard. Right. Understanding where you can place your efforts, and not, like you said, just burying your head in the sand, thinking I'm just going to do 16-hour days. Initially, you do need to, but if you've got a good team and got good systems, you don't want that decision fatigue when you're making important decisions for your team. You don't want to turn up ratty and overwhelmed. That's not good leadership, and I don't want us, for my girls to look at me and think, oh God, she's stressed out, she's this, that and t'other, and they won't feed good off that. I think again, learning from other people, putting things in place should avoid that state. I think even though you need to prioritise different in the start, there's no such thing as balance when you're trying to create something special or push something in a certain direction, but sometimes you've got to helicopter out and say, like, where am I going with all this hard work and effort and time?
Yeah, and as you say, with mentorship, you've got an external view looking in on that and kind of going, oh, so you're not stuck in the detail of your own things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think for me, it's something I've always struggled with, finding said balance, so to speak. It's something I've always looked at and envied, I guess, the mindset towards it that Abbi has, because she understands that working smart and producing results is the thing, whereas I think I'm more literally just thinking I have to be constantly banging head against the wall.
Right.
Like, that's for full transparency.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ended me being poorly quite a lot. A couple of visits to hospital and stuff, but yeah, in regards to balance, I think my mindset has always been that hustle type of toxic type of business owner, if I'm honest, again, for full transparency. But it's something I'm working on, and I think, again, delving into the data and becoming more informed with your decisions and growing as a leader, I think I definitely am improving in that area, 100%. But yeah, I guess that's kind of beat into me from the football side of things. Like, you constantly have to be on all the time. You're being judged like everything you do. So like and you could fail, you could be out, your career could be done. It's almost like it's all just going to be taken away type of thing. Right. But sometimes being a little bit too far, the way I've been, can actually lead to you causing that in a way. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and like you're saying, that creates a culture of fear or a culture of like other people sensing that you're stressed and
Unmanaged expectations creates that overwhelm. So if everyone knows what they're meant to be doing and what the outcome's to be, then we're sound, we're sweet. And you've got to remember, it's a customer-facing business as well. You're working with people, so you don't want to be a grouchy person to them. And
you can't control it sometimes if you're just feeling like that.
To start it, you have to be relentless, and you have to be a certain element of neurotic to get everything done and do it all. But you do have to then step back and think, whoa, like, I've got to serve this business, and I can't serve it if I'm overtired, overworked, and not clear.
I think the biggest change that I've made personally is removing things that don't have a return investment, like removing fluff, basically. Right.
Chasing the next shiny thing.
Not making people busy for busy's sake. It's just put the numbers on the board, serve the people, have an amazing product, have amazing vibes around the gym, and that's it. That is the game, really. Why try and do everything else, because that doesn't grow your business, really. It's just nice twos or things that you think you have to do to be perceived or impress people that don't pay you. Do you know what I mean?
You can do it short term, but long term it's a recipe for disaster.
And again, it comes back to that constant analysis and like cutting the fat or kind of honing in on the thing that is working. Like,
could I do this better? And like you say, you only do that by being challenged on your opinions or your systems, from looking outward and investing.
And is there any, like, I think, as you say, you're constantly looking at evolving the business and the next big thing coming down the line. Are there any trends, 2024 major trends, that you're thinking we need to be applying that within our businesses?
No, just consistency with what we're doing now, I think. And that is literally it, in my opinion. Like, in regards to trends, are you meaning like a shift in like services or like...
I guess, or any kind of... tweaks to the product or anything like that, I guess, or like...
All right. I mean, for us of late, I think both of us actually following some recent learnings or recent challenge again, so to speak, is that less can sometimes be more. And we're talking like product based here. I think for us, we've been able to deliver a more personalised, tailored product and service by actually giving less, and it goes down to even the programming on the screen, doesn't it? Like, just like, not everyone's doing a barbell back squat, it's squat variation, and we're just completely tailoring everything to the person, which sounds like a little bit idiot proof, but it's things that we may have done in the past that have led us to be rigid. Do you know what I mean? And now it's like it's the next stage of our product and growth and member experience, and I think that's been, if it's a trend, I guess that is SGPT delivered to a really high standard, in my opinion.
I think, and again, you say it's a generational thing. People used to think PT was a luxury, or a more like lifestyle product gym was a luxury. I don't. I think the next wave of people who are coming, and we've got a lot of young girls in the gym, and I'm talking like 18 to 25, who are putting the gym up there with like mortgage car gym. It's not a luxury anymore because people value their health and well-being, and I don't think it's a trend that's going to come and go. I think it's even more so. I don't know if it was a shift since COVID. I don't know if it's social media influence.
Social media,
you know,
social media.
and people think I can communicate, I can be part of a community, and I can socialise like without that nightlife and without the negative effects. Will this serve me better? And then putting more onus on the spend towards wellness. Like again, it's not a cost. It's an investment piece.
If you look at the data, it shows point blank that that's what's happening. Like
people want to go to a run club and a coffee, or people want to do a wellness day.
I
do think it's becoming a lot more popular.
I think I genuinely think
normalised.
It's like I've seen a saying lately that the athletes are becoming the CEOs and the CEOs are becoming athletes, and it's because like the people who are influencers, like proper influencers, by the way, not like the people selling like daft shitty products and stuff, like them guys like dictate what people wear, how they think, and because they're living to such a high standard and achieving things that people want, but they're achieving it by implementing certain habits and a certain lifestyle, I think it becomes attractive to be like that. So then it's a case of like, well, this isn't our cost, this is now an investment type of thing, and it's going to serve me so I can be as successful as him or as her.
Yeah, replicating the high achieving.
And your mind will instantly go to the same people as that I'm probably It dictates everything.
And people documenting that
100%.
every hour of their
The
day.
rise of YouTube and everything like that, like people will pick up that people are doing again, like the ice baths or the infrared therapy, and think, oh, I want to do that, and it's so accessible now. I think it's more accessible because people are filtering it down from what used to be accessible from like you say, like CEO high industry types. Like people are making it more marketable and more like consumerist for everyone.
I think my first answer was probably off the pulse of what you were asking. Now Abby's got the juices flowing. I think the trend that I'm spotting is that people are becoming obsessed with high performance. Like every day Tom, Dick and Harry wants to be
optimizing
like, they might
everything.
Look at us as their like, and then we'll have our people who we want to. Do you know what I mean? And you adopt the behaviours and the habits you do, and then you surround yourself with people like that, and then everyone just moves faster and higher, I guess.
Nice. Yeah.
I guess that's more on the pulse.
Yeah, and it's how you make the product scream that even more, sort of thing, isn't it? Yeah, nice. And what are your biggest challenges, do you think, going into 2024?
I think if you understand and follow finances and the world that we're in, I think people are becoming, tighter pockets. I know we're saying, I don't want to be contradictory in saying that people are choosing to invest in their health and stuff, but
overall
it is harder now. People do have less money, so I think the challenge is constantly showcasing why someone should invest in themselves.
Proving value.
You know what I mean? And make it like a mortgage, car payment, gym. Why that should be up there all the time. Because there's going to be times where people are challenged and they're going to think, fuck, that's a luxury, that, like, do I really need it? Like, we need to keep, our biggest challenge is keeping that a high priority for people, in my opinion. And then other than that, I guess it's just, I think, the rise of the box gym like ours, or the SGPT gym.
When we released this, people didn't get it. People didn't get small group PT. People still would, what are you doing on your boot camps? How do your classes run? It's personal training. It's high ticket personal training from highly qualified personal trainers. And again, it's a lifestyle product. We're focusing on a lot more things than just counting your reps, etc., turning up and out. People didn't get that model in 2020. Now they do, and you see more SGPT places set up, but because they're not surrounded by the people we are or have invested in what we've done, it's just like almost like
where I was going with that was the visual aspect of our gyms, and the people like your commercial gyms are perceiving our types of gyms as being successful and doing well, so now they're trying to replicate and have the money to, so they're basically going snapshot of that in one corner of their gym, and obviously it's cost us hundreds of thousands to do it. For them it's just like put it in next week. But then obviously the foundations and why we'll always stay ahead is good quality product, a service, and a community. You can't beat that. It's impossible. you can make the gym look the same, but you haven't got the DNA that we have, and I think that's, yeah.
Just staying ahead of the curve. By, again, you staying invested in the people who are already ahead of you. You can't really fail, but most small businesses don't last the 5-year mark. We're 1 year away. But again, it's getting better at being that marketeer, that recruiter, and that accountant. You have to be, like, a portion of your thinking a day needs to be financial, always. Because you don't want to get 6 months down the line and you've not managed that cash flow and you're like, oh well, it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
I think where we're lucky as well is commercial gyms they're always so slow to implement change.
Yeah,
our type of
huge.
gym, we kind of will change the look of our gym every 3 years. Them guys are on
Even
7
just the
to 10.
products, the offering.
Yeah.
We did that whole 2.0 version of what you see now after 18 months. Again, probably had no right to do it. Well, we didn't, because it was loaned, do you know what I mean? But that's how member focused we are and how experience focused we are. Like, willing to take a very uncomfortable financial step just to be that
just
place.
to level up. Yeah. Nice. And I mean, you both seem like the kind of people that just don't stand still. So where do you see the next 3 to 5 years for your brands?
I'll go first if you want.
Speaking at events like this, because I think the rate in which we think, I remember being at the event last year and thinking, I can do this if we just work hard and we create a really good product, again with the data to match behind it to say, then there is no stopping us. I think, again, to own a business, you have to have that almost delusional way of thinking. You have to, because who's going to? Because I felt about this since I opened, before I even had the idea, before I drew the logo on a piece of paper. I was like, I know how this is going to work and I know it's going to be epic. And now we've got a team of 6. I feel the same, and just constantly peddling maybe the mundane, like the showing up, perfecting the product, etc., and just seeing where that takes us and building that feeling further afield than me, than the staff, than the members. People talking about it further afield and helping other people. So yeah, getting what we do just known further.
I think for us it's like being recognised that is the place for men. And I think the IP of men's fitness is there for the taking personally, and whatever that looks like. For me, it's just like if a man thinks of training, they think of the training club. That's why I'd love us to be one day. And I'd love a facility that expresses that standard and that impact. Maybe it could be like a proper HQ, because to me this is just like a gym tucked away in an industrial estate. It's not like a real destination. Like, if I'm thinking blue sky, thinking like your Alpha Land and your shit like that, do you know what I mean? Like, that's like serious stuff that is at another site, so that you can, now you know how much it costs to run one, how much profit you can make, what cash flow you can create. Is it a case of then replicating the model somewhere else and impacting more people? Because for me, it's like we had a dabble in the online thing and try to kick the rock. What's the saying? You kick it down, kick the stone down the path, and it's just like, it's so hard to replicate, like the impact and the energy and the experience that people have in person online, because that is what the training club's about. I would say I'd want us to become more known for our product and our philosophy of training as well, and not just a community, and not just a vibe and experience, product as well. And then tie all that into one. I think that makes a recipe for a pretty sick business like and brand.
Nice. And you touched on the event there, bit of a shameless PerformX plug, but why is it so important, do you think, for an ambitious fitness professional, gym owner, PT to attend PerformX? I
think when we go to events, again, it might span a year. You'll go to 3, 4, 5 and you'll hear different people speak about different things. You can capture that in a 2-day event. That is huge. The fact you can have all these people in one space and absorb it all is... It would be silly not to, you know? Like, you literally...
I would pay anything to be thought-provoked. That's my biggest thing. Sometimes I don't even know why I'm going to things, sometimes I don't have an agenda, and I've been told that's a bad thing sometimes, but genuinely the way I know my brain works is, put me in a room, you could say something, but where it takes my mind is the thing that I want to pay for. Like, I want you to like make my brain do that, because that's when the gold comes for me.
The penny drop moment.
Massively, and the amount of notes I'll take, or... Again, like, it's not even a direct piece of info. Sometimes it can just be where my brain goes. But again, having so many different people from finance, bodybuilding, mindsets, psychology, like all them things in 2 days for 100 quid or something, like, are you mad? Why would you not?
Like we've seen it, we've been there, we've been them people. We've seen how it influenced our thinking and our team's thinking. So we've seen the fruition of how those events can infiltrate your thinking and what can amount to. So, yeah.
Nice. And that, do you think there's an element, I'll ask that again, how important is the element of community in terms of the fellow gym owners that you get through mentorships or through events like PerformX?
It can be a bit of a lonely... We've got a really, really niche situation where we've got a gym owner here and a gym owner down the road with similar business models. So we've really benefited from bashing heads and saying, oh, I've got this problem, oh, I've had that, and that is unknown. So in the PT space, where you're in self-employed space, so it's maybe a little bit solitude, you can have a million minds to plug. Not just the people on the stage, the people in the seat next to you are going to give you gold. Where else is that a thing? You know, it's not. So... it's just invaluable.
I think networking is seen as old school, but it's probably the most rewarding thing ever. So I think making that accessible to people, because you can get so much information from podcasts and so many things, Zoom calls and stuff like that, but being able to be in a room and around different people, and if you go with the mindset to, I'm going to speak to X amount of people, like that's how I met Kerry. I just sought her out and just thought, I'm going to go and speak to you. I've seen you on someone's story that I know is always on the pulse, so I'm going to go and speak to you now. And then that compounds, you know what I mean? But that's the mindset you have, and that's the power of networking, and
having all those minds under one roof.
Someone's got a solution to a problem you have, and if you can put yourself in the same room with them, invaluable. If you want to move your business 5 steps ahead, that's what you need to do.
And I think it came from you guys, but it was like, how can we facilitate the networking more? So we've got an app this year, so you can see all the attendees beforehand, and you can say, I want to meet this person, like, can we grab a coffee kind of thing and book it in.
That's cool.
And then we've got a few other changes. I think a lot of it came from you guys, to be fair, but there's 2 like longer breaks between talks, so you can actually we've got healthier food, we were saying earlier, like not just like Acco bowls and like breakfast foods and things like that, but actually longer breaks, longer lunch breaks, so you're not just like grabbing a coffee running into the next talk.
The talks are so good, you don't want to miss any. And sometimes the shorter breaks, you're like, or if someone ran over, you were like sitting there like, I've got to get on the first floor, hurry up.
Doing the awkward walkout.
So that'll be brilliant, because again, more information consumed, the better outcome's going to be from it, so that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me down and taking your time up on a Friday night to chat, but
it's totally fine.
Absolute pleasure.
Enjoying
Thank you very much.
Seeing you in a few weeks. Performance.